call bullshit on it, but I don't know if we can talk about that.
Oh, are we live?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So,
hey guys, what's going on?
Welcome to
PanNerdia
podcast number 8. Ocho.
PanNerdia.
PanNerdia Ocho.
2/3 of a snowman.
It's cold out here, man. I mean,
right
up here in the mountain tips of Mount Fuji.
Hey.
It looks like Mount Fuji.
I thought we were still in St. Louis.
Well, that's new to me. Well, guys, we are here wherever we're at, St. Fuji, and we're here to talk about, well, our top 5 films that essentially defined our childhood. 5 each, in fact. We didn't pick 5 movies that defined both our conjoined childhoods. We were conjoined twins, by the way.
No.
And by a hair, one single hair, thread of hair. Yeah, it was just like easy. But we're gonna one at a time, back and forth. We'll let Robert start it off. We'll go back and forth, and we'll essentially talk about a movie, that defined our childhood between the ages like 5 and 12ish, somewhere in that zone. That just something that what does that mean? It's something that that you.
It's something that maybe you learn something from.
Right.
Growing up, like a lot of times when I watched movies, I was always like paying attention, trying to learn something, and those are the movies that, as we were growing up, watching those movies, whether they be funny, whether they be serious, dramas, or any kind of movie, it affected you in some way. You remember certain scenes from that movie. Anytime you think of a movie, you go, oh yeah, I remember, that part.
Those movies that you learned all the words to, those movies that you used to go to sleep at night, the ones that you fell asleep and woke up at 2 in the morning to turn off the DVD menu because it's real loud.
Or you only had a DVD player.
Right.
So you had to sit there and sit on the menu all the time, turn your volume down a little bit.
Right.
Wake up in the middle of the night. You wanted the light on, but
yeah, the light was
turn
good,
that volume down.
Yeah, that recurring song.
Right.
Those movies that really just, you're just like, when you think about it, like, man, I fucking love that movie, and it kind of defines me, man. But let us tell you, shit was hard.
Right.
It was hard.
It was hard, and you know what? Watching a certain scene or repeat sort of video for a menu, the DVD menu.
Yeah.
Mine, probably most memorable, is going, ooh, pick me, and jumping.
Which one was
pick
it?
Me.
What movie was that one?
Well, it's actually my number 1 on the list. It's Shrek.
Oh, was it Donkey saying it?
Yeah.
You gotta love Eddie Murphy. Okay.
Pick me!
That was great, man.
Right.
See, that's perfect. Okay, well, let's talk about Shrek, because, hey, that almost made my list, but it didn't make my list. It was hard, we told you guys. So let's talk about Shrek, man.
I'll tell you what, Shrek was one of those movies where you just paid attention to, because when even not being exactly a kid when I watched it, it was intriguing to me because it still had sort of like a pop culture reference sort of feel to it, where it wasn't afraid to go after, the higher thinking of pop culture, and especially having some big names in that movie. You had Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm.
You had Michael Myers. I mean, those two alone, they are superstars.
Cameron Diaz.
Oh man, I mean, what more can you ask for? Honestly, I mean, they had so much backing as far as talent, and then they mix it with a brand new style of telling these stories, these like Disney sort of stories, but they're also like, they're kind of not exactly Disney.
It was like DreamWorks is like, it was first like real big thing, I feel like.
Right, yeah, and it just cemented those characters into our pop culture where you'll never forget them.
Where they're actually rebooting Shrek soon. Really? Already? You don't need to reboot the
Is
classics.
Is it too soon?
No, it's way too soon, bro.
It's not even a classic yet, though. It is, but it isn't.
I would say the original is a classic.
The original is a classic.
It is, man. It's just, it's like, it's mwah. It's great, man. I loved it growing up. It's humor. It's like the best CGI movie of its time, like fully like CGI animation movie. I think it did. Yeah, you said you had all the top voice actors, you had the top animation. It was freaking hilarious. It had so many good nods, not only pop culture at the time it came out, but also the references to the medieval life back then, dude. It was great.
And if you notice, those characters are all representative of. They're all huge representatives of certain types of people or certain types of characters and the way that they interact with other characters. It's just every bit of that. The writing, every bit of that movie was done by real artists and real stars.
Oh yeah, man.
I mean, Michael Myers. That dude could like start his own thing, you know, like he could start his own like movie culture just by himself because he's such a great writer, he's such a great producer, he's a great actor. I mean,
hey man, he was one of my favorites growing up. In fact, he's my my number one movie to talk about right now. Another movie with Mike Myers, and that is from the Austin Powers series, Austin Powers 3, Goldmember.
There you go.
Yeah,
I think when you think Michael Myers, that's one of the first things that you think of.
Do I make you Rodney?
Do I make you Rodney, baby?
Dude,
that was horrible.
For one, I appreciate it. For one, I loved all the Austin Powers, but the third one, Goldmember, the way it just, man, it was my like 5th grade year, man. It was. Not only was it funny, it was humor I totally shouldn't have been into as a kid, but I fucking loved it. I love that it had a raunchy humor. I had an older brother, so he always was showing me stuff I shouldn't have watched anyway. So there's things I actually got in there. Later watching it, I thought it was even funnier because, you know, you can watch it while enjoying the enjoyment. But just back then, what it reminded me of, man, it was just like, it was humor. It was Mike Myers. I was seeing him in other things. It showed me parts of the past that I wasn't too familiar with yet, and just like the whole shagadelic 60s and stuff, and you know, the psychedelic era, and the whole thing. But with Goldmember, it was the third movie of its kind, right? It was them all their tip top thing. They had Mike Myers playing Austin Powers and Dr. Evil and Fat Bastard and Goldmember. So it was like one of those. I love gold. Unfortunate smelting accident. And as a kid, dude, I knew all the words of that movie, and I probably shouldn't have known all those words. Everything from the song Dr. Evil and Mimi sing in prison. Yeah. It's a hard night. You know. I don't even remember the lyrics now because it's been so long, but I can just think of it in my head.
They even had Beyonce in that movie.
Beyonce was in that movie, looking fantastic. And they had Michael Crane as Austin Powers' dad in that movie.
Yeah.
So, dude, they had some top-notch people in there. It was funny as hell. Man. They had like a whole spoof at the beginning with Danny DeVito playing Mini-Me and shit. Yeah. Kevin Spacey's Dr. Evil creep. But everything, dude, it was just funny. It was like the culmination of all of it. I loved it. It was definitely one of the tip-top, if not the comedy that defined my childhood. Right. Because most of my humor today is totally derivative of the funny-ass humor that was Austin Powers, and especially Goldmember, dude.
Right. And you know what? Just thinking about Austin Powers, I think about like losing your mojo.
Yes.
Like that was like a creation of its own. Oh, the term mojo, and just like playing it the way they did, like in a little test tube. It's like this.
Yeah, it's like
it's like it looked like slime.
It was like glowing purple,
like glittery purple slime.
It had like his little like male symbols floating inside of it.
Right. Oh my gosh. I'll tell you what. You know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
My second movie.
Oh yeah.
My second movie on my list. Just thinking about mojo, and Austin lost his mojo. You know who would always give mojo back?
Who's that?
John Coffey.
Oh damn! What a transition.
The Green Mile.
He would. He'd give
the
it
Green
back
Mile
to
is
you.
my number 2.
But he'd take in that pain though.
He does take in the pain, but he releases it back into the universe as this negative energy that just...
He's like a conduit.
Yeah, he's a conduit. He's you come into contact with this special tool that takes away injury and pain.
So how does this movie affect your childhood?
I mean,
you were telling me something earlier.
It's not that it affected my childhood, but it was definitely a movie that I watched when I was younger that I didn't quite understand some of the premises, but it was intriguing.
Right.
It was a very intriguing movie, and when you see a character like Percy, you remember Percy? He was the younger guard that came in, and nobody liked him being there because he was like the governor's nephew or something, and he was just a little ignorant like prick.
Yeah.
And he would do things to people just to hurt them, like just to see the reaction of it, you know, like. And like him, Tom Hanks was great in that movie. I mean, and John Coffey, I forget the actor's name. I feel silly that I don't remember his name. But
yeah, I forget off the top of my head too.
But all the characters.
You can look it up if you'd like. You want to look it up?
Oh yeah.
Here, let's look it up. Here, I got it. Let me just pop up the internet. Oh, you see our Twitch feed? What? Okay, so we got the Green Mile cast. Michael Clark Duncan. Yeah, Tom Hanks is Paul, the guy who had kidney stones, the prison guard, right? He was prison guard, correct, in the movie? Sam Rockwell, Wild Bill.
Yep.
Wow, yeah.
Wild Bill. Yep, Wild Bill was a serious character in that movie where he shook the whole place up. Once they just started to get everything sort of calm, they all sort of understood like what was going on, and then this dude comes in and just causes havoc all the time. But what were some of the other guys?
So we had let's see.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, we had Doug Hutchinson as Percy. The guy you're talking about. We had James Cornwell as Warden. Mm-hmm. Yep.
What's that next guy?
Michael Jeter is Edward.
Michael Jeter.
Oh, Patricia Clarkson was in there. Melinda Moore or whatever her name is. She was in Sharp Objects, which is the show that I reviewed here on PanNerdia. And she actually just won a award too for best actress in a drama series.
I mean, John Coffey's just a relatable character. I mean, what other character is like John Coffey?
Oh, I think I can let you know, bro.
I mean, seriously.
You know which character is almost exactly like John Coffey? Neo. Neo from The Matrix, right?
Neo?
Yeah, he's...
Okay.
Well.
Okay, he's kind of a chosen one, okay?
Yeah, let's go with that.
Okay.
Chosen one.
Right.
Perfect, thanks. And that's my transition. And not just the first Matrix, though I did love that as a kid. It wasn't until The Matrix 2 Reloaded that really drew me in the series. And for its awesome action, of course, it was brilliant. Some of the cool shit I've ever seen, when the trucks collided and exploded, it was amazing. But not only for the awesome action, also, it's one of the first, if not the first movies that really made me think outside of the box as a little kid. And to the point where it made me go back and try to listen to what he was saying. Like the scene where he was talking to the Oracle and Mr. Smith showed up, and basically it was the first time he kept multiplying himself, and Neo had a battle Agent Smith, in that courtyard, and there was like hundreds of them. Remember that?
Yes,
and the scene where he ran on their faces and stuff.
When he yanks the pole out of the ground and hits the first one with it, and he breaks the concrete on a couple of them, and then he starts spinning that pole around, and he's like, bing, ding, 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 ding. It's just like dragging a metal pole and hitting like a guardrail or something. I don't know.
As a fan of Dragon Ball growing up, and while that movie was out, it was like fucking live action Dragon Ball.
Exactly. I mean, Neo was...
He was flying. He was kicking ass.
I mean, the fact that he would distort the
floor
ground when he would fly.
Dude.
Come on, man.
Dude, it was so badass. And that awesome action And those powers that Neo had is what drew me into all the lore and the details of the show. And again, it just made me think. It made me start delving into that unknown and delving into the idea of like the future and apocalyptic situations. And that's a hard lot to think of as a kid, but it was cool because I liked getting in that. It was awesome to think about that mind state, man. Like I remember a time when we were a kid, we were at like our Uncle Ronnie's house and we were like sitting outside. It was some kind of family thing. I remember we were real young. We're all looking up at stars, and that was another thing when I was younger that really drew me into thinking outside the box. Was like looking at stars, but nothing else did it. And like the Matrix did, man, and the Matrix 2 particularly, because that made me go back and watch the first one and get even more in depth with the story. So by the time the third one came out, dude, it was over.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I remember that the third one. Yes, isn't that the one where they built their own highway in order to film? Or is that the second one?
That's the second one.
The second one was the highway
That's
chase.
When the truck, yeah, okay. The highway chase is amazing, bro. Such a good
and
scene.
the third one has a key. No, that's still.
That's the second one.
That's the second one.
The third one is where they have the big battle.
Okay.
At their actual place.
Right.
As well as
you get to see
Neo
more
and Mr.
of
Smith
the.
have their one-on-one fight.
You get to see more of the actual setting of the world.
Yeah. The second one, you get to see it in the second one, but even more so in the third one because that's when they have the big battle.
Man, they had those.
And Neo
mechs
travels to the surface to go meet with the Origin.
With the Origin and. Who was it sitting there?
Well, no, that was in the second one. He met with that was the architect.
The architect, yeah.
Right. And then in the last one, he met with the source. So basically, the original one of the AI, and met with him, and then basically, there's talk that they're gonna make a fourth Matrix, and it's gonna be basically it's gonna be Neo being reborn. So it's basically like because they compared Neo a lot in the story to like the biblical Christ. So basically how Christ is resurrected, if that's whatever you believe in. I'm just saying that's what this movie partakes in. So the fourth one would be Neo being resurrected, since spoiler he dies in the third one. But he dies because you know what it is. Basically, if you remember the whole story without getting too convoluted, the whole reason of the one. It was originally a program that eventually fused with human biology and kept getting reborn or reincarnated into different humans, but only humans that were used in the battery fields of because the humans were batteries in the real world in that show.
Yeah. Right. They were using their energy.
Yeah, and that's the deal they set up, but they put the humans' minds into the Matrix. So the one,
in order to keep their mind going while they can use their body.
The one was created to be a restart when it comes to ultimately wanting to reprogram the Matrix. So the one would gather like minds and basically combat the evil or AI, specifically so the evil AI could build up even more resistance and make it more futile for the humans. But eventually Neo's version of the one broke free from that and made his own decision and wasn't governed by that super ancient program that the one was originally programmed to do. Neo broke free. When
Neo breaks free like that, when I saw him start to use his chosen one, the one abilities, where he was shut down that one.
Yeah, when he was outside of the Matrix, he was using his abilities. That's when it was like...
Yeah.
That's the way the second one ended, dude. I was like...
Dom, 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 dom.
So, dude, what a second film for me. What about number 3 for ye?
3 for ye?
Yeah.
I mean, another person that was chosen...
Another chosen one, man.
There is another chosen one, and I mean, it was kind of chosen in a different way. Okay. He just got bit by a spider. Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man to be.
You guys know
to be more
the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans.
Right.
Now it's just the original Sam Raimi, not the second and third. We're just talking the one right now, right?
I'm just talking the one right now.
Okay. Well, we can talk a little of the others. We
can sprinkle that in, but
Dude, yes, Sam Raimi, bro. I love those. Almost made my list as well.
I mean, that Spider-Man was just at the right time where I could watch that, and it was everything that I kind of wanted it to be as far as like kind of it was. At that point, the way that they were doing Marvel films was that if you look at it now, it kind of looks cheesy and stuff. But at that time of
superhero films in general,
films in general, that was the upper echelon.
That was the top of the crop, dude.
That was top of the crop. That was like Kirsten Dunst, Tobey Maguire, James Franco, boosh, like all this.
Willem Dafoe. You had Willem Dafoe as the Green Lantern.
Come on,
Green
man.
Goblin, dude. I mean, come on.
I know. I mean that movie in general was just it really set the standard. It set a new standard for that sort of film. I mean, when it came out, it was just like, whoa, this is cool. Look how they did Spider-Man. Look how like.
The way he swung through the city, man, nothing ever's been done like that.
You even see how he started with the, kind of ratty little outfit that he made, and then it turned into
suit.
Right. I mean, that's what's cool about Spider-Man is that it's a very down-to-earth sort of superhero that everybody can relate to. It's just like close enough to where you can because that's what you think about when you think about superheroes is you think about what if I could do that?
Right.
And Spider-Man's right there, like, what if I did get bit by a spider? And I'd be like, what's happening to me?
Right. Yeah, dude, there's something about the Sam Raimi Spider-Mans with Tobey Maguire that are just, like, super quintessential to my childhood, especially the first and second one. I almost picked the second one on my list, but a lot of number twos for me. But something about that movie, dude, the first one was just, like you said, it set it up for the rest of them. It was the first Marvel movie to be that fucking dope. Granted, you had like the X-Men's, but they were going on with Fox had those.
Right.
So Sony had Spider-Man, but Fox had X-Men. So that was they did good with that, of course. But the Spider-Man just set it out of the park with the web slinging and the action and. Yeah, it might be a little cheesy nowadays, but it was fun.
But I mean,
it was great.
But
the kiss in the rain, the famous upside down Spider-Man kiss in the rain. As
a kid,
it was fucking badass.
That brings me to also is like from that Spider-Man to now like the new the younger kind of cooler
which I will say I think is the best Spider-Man, the current one that's in the movies.
I think so too.
I think in terms of who Peter Parker really is. He portrays him the best.
I think he does too.
But there's something about the Tobey Maguire one that's great.
It's what's funny about the new one is like he's a quick-witted, sort of nerdy little that's what he should be. You know, like he's intelligent. Like I feel like he should be intelligent and have sort of a pure heart because that's what Spider-Man's supposed to have. Is like he's just kind of a pure-hearted little,
yeah.
And the Tobey Maguire one was very dramatic. It was a
lot more dramatic. It was.
It was very dramatic, and this new one's more of kind of a pure heart sort of.
And the one in between, whoever Garfield actor kid, I don't care about him. The one in between, his real name's something Garfield. But that actor, I never liked those ones.
I didn't even watch them.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I only watched the first one out of the 2 or 3 he did, and I didn't like the first one really. So. It just was like, because I didn't want them to do a reboot at that point. And then they did it, and then they kept going, and I was like, whatever. And then they rebooted with this new character, but then I kind of got over it and was like, okay, let's see how this kid really is. And I was like, okay, he's actually the best. When I saw him in Civil War, when he got introduced to him in Civil War, it was great. He was like, checking out everybody's shit, like, oh, cool, you got that?
I know.
It was perfect. It was
perfect nerd reaction, like pure heart nerd reaction.
Right.
It's a kind of a Goku feel.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like his interaction with Captain America, his interaction with Iron Man. It's just like it's cool the way that his suit turned into sort of an Iron Man sort of thing now.
The newer movie, it's pretty cool, man. Yeah, dude. I mean, it's really it's awesome to see where superhero movies are now. Particularly Marvel movies, because they're doing it right, man. I mean, who'd have think that we just love movies with people with masks on?
By the way, rest in peace, Stan Lee.
Stan Lee, rest in peace, man. You changed an era, man. You really did.
Definitely. I mean, he did some things with my childhood that I would never want to forget. I mean, some of those animated series,
Yeah, dude.
I really can't replace it.
He's a legend, man. He's the man of many masks. And speaking of masks, you ready for this transition?
What's that?
My third movie on the list.
Shut the door. Okay. Go ahead.
The third movie on the list, The Mask. Jim Carrey.
Ooh.
The Mask. I know you said you almost put that in your list too, man. That movie, growing up, so quintessential to my childhood. I've watched it about a bajillion times. We've watched it about a quadrillion times together. Yeah, dude, it was always a blast watching it. It was one of the first Jim Carrey movies I remember seeing as a kid. There's probably maybe one or two before, but I don't think there were. I think besides perhaps something else, that movie was hands down, like, it was Jim Carrey. That's what got me into him, man. And like, you got to see him as a normal guy. You got to see him as a wacky normal guy. You got to see him with the mask on, which was really goofy and wacky. It was basically a live action cartoon. You got to see hot Cameron Diaz. Again, we got Cameron Diaz in this list, so she's not voice acting. Sexy young Cameron Diaz. And dude, it was
really young then.
She was really young then. She was like early 20s.
She had the red lipstick and stuff like that. Man, that movie was cool because you got to see a lot of sort of live action play with bending physics.
Yes. Very cartoony. But they did it well. I mean, even watching it nowadays, like I watched it like a few months ago. It was on like HBO one day or something.
Do you notice
it was great, dude. It holds up.
Like still today?
It does. It holds up, dude.
Do you ever think that like The Mask, it's sort of, it's almost like the wearer. It's almost like the wearer is looking at the world from a different perspective, or looking at the world through a lens that is maybe seeing multiple layers of reality.
Are you talking about like what The Mask does?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it pretty much is like it totally accentuates your ego and your id.
I'm wondering, when you
like ultra magnifies your ego id factor of who you are.
When you put that mask on, are you conscious?
You are. You totally are.
Are you dreaming?
No, it's just you're basically, I think the whole rest of yourself gets pushed back, and your id and ego, so your ultimate cocky confidence, like I'm cool guy self, comes up forward. That particular mask, which makes me wonder, is that mask part of is there some kind of lore with the Mask movies? Is that mask part of some order of several masks, and each one brings out other certain parts of your personality? But that mask, the green one, brings out your id ego, because everybody puts it on as like it's their most like confident, intense self, like all about like, you know what I'm saying?
What if it's not a mask? What if it's a full like suit?
That'd be crazy. Well, it pretty much is like a full suit. Well, no, it goes around their whole face, but it makes their whole body do crazy shit.
Right.
It makes them have super speed.
It's almost as if they're in control of their dream, and they're just being complete assholes.
But there's moments when they can pull it off, and I think the moments they pull it off, that's when they're conscious, because they can decide to pull it off, to take the mask off. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's in moments where one of those other emotions probably get ahead. Now, I will say, any other Mask movies that came out are completely discredited here. Fuck all the other Mask movies. One was like Jamie Kennedy and shit. Just the original The Mask with Jim Carrey. That is it. That is the only mask that ever survived for all that I care.
Right. I'm a very original sort of like lover. Like when I see the original, I don't want anything to change about it. Really.
Not really, no. And when we get into that debate at one point, because there's obviously I have a lot of number 2s on my list, but nowadays number 2s are pretty shitty, and if they reboot movies, they usually suck unless it was shitty in the first place. Yeah. But like in the case of Shrek, they don't need to do that shit. Like fuck off with that noise. But back to the more green face men. The Mask, man. It was just the comedy was it was perfect for when I was younger. The funny noises, the and just him talking fast. The whole thing.
Tommy gun.
Yeah, it's. I want to thank when he's giving his award and he's crying, and then the whole thing, like, even when it's just Jim Carrey and he's, like, trapped in the jail with the dog, and he's like, quick, he's like, get the keys, and the dog comes back with a piece of cheese. Not the cheese, the keys. Just shit like that, dude. There's everything is just just so funny, dude.
Jim Carrey is just just Jim Carrey in general. I mean, right. he covers a broad spectrum of of comedic relief in my childhood for sure.
Oh yeah, dude. He's the master of disaster when it comes to like the ¡90s comedy. So
I'm sorry for cutting off.
No, that's it. There's no cutoff. I was about to pass it back to you.
One movie that we didn't even mention.
Yeah.
Liar, Liar.
Liar, Liar's a great one, man.
I'll
tell you this. I did watch that recently, but I didn't make it through. You know why? The little kid. The little kid annoyed me enough to turn off the movie. And I don't remember that kid being that annoying when I was a little kid, but he sure as hell is annoying as fuck now. To the point where I was like, click. I don't know why. It just was. There's so many other Jim Carrey movies that are better than that one.
I mean, yeah, but just Jim Carrey's character in that one is, I'm on my knees in a $900 suit.
Oh gosh. Well, I'll tell you a classic, Dumb and Dumber. Oh man. But we can have a whole podcast about Jim Carrey if we want.
We should just talk about Jim Carrey movies.
We'll do one about Jim Carrey one day, and we'll do one about Adam Sandler one day.
Adam Sandler, that's my next on my list. Number 4. Number 4. Well, Billy Madison.
Oh.
I had to go with that one because that was like the...
There are a lot to choose from, but that one's great. Classic.
I remember the intro to that movie where, like, it's showing all the bullshit laying all over the place from
and he's just driving his golf cart.
Yeah. And it's intriguing start to a movie, Mm-hmm. And then it's just like, it's all this like showing this beautiful lands and like these people's house, like super beautiful like mansion, millionaires, mm-hmm. And then like it's just him running over flowers,
wasted
because he's drunk at like on Sunday. Like
already, he goes to the mailbox and gets porno mags out.
Nudie magazine day. Nudie magazine day. Nudie magazine day.
Oh god.
Ooh, you're a quick one.
That almost made my list too, man. There's many Adam Sandler movies that almost made my list.
Yeah.
But I almost trusted that he would pick one because, dude, Adam Sandler was our childhood in general. But dude,
yeah, you can't go wrong with Adam Sandler. Especially since he carries a whole cast of. Like Norm Macdonald is in that movie. Come on, man. Yeah. Man, there's so many. Chris Farley's in there.
Gosh. Who would eat 28 kids' lunches?
and probably one of the most quoted things from that movie. That Veronica Vaughn is one fine piece of ace.
Dude, there's so many quotable lines from that movie.
Dude, Veronica Vaughn. Man, that talk about like when you're growing up watching Billy Madison, you're like, damn, she's hot, she's beautiful.
Oh yeah,
just out of this world beautiful
she's sexy,
in that movie.
When she later in the movie when Billy Madison kind of collapses again into that party funk, mm-hmm. and she like comes in the morning and picks him out of the fountain, beats his ass, and then he starts singing a song.
Veronica, I thank you for beating the shit out of me. Oh man.
And the clown gets up and is like,
hey kids!
You thought that I was dead, but when I fell down, I just broke my leg and got a
hemorrhage in my head.
That is correct.
Why at the end of the song, do you have any more gum? More gum, more gum, more gum. Do you have any more gum?
See, that is our childhood.
Right.
Fucking Steve Buscemi, he calls him to get back all his people he messed with in high school. And
he crosses his name off with a lipstick.
Puts the lipstick on. Classic. Steve Buscemi and all the Adam Sandler movies.
That movie had great, like, classic songs, had some cool classic cars, had some, it just had a lot of good, like, exciting sort of good.
Stay here for as long as you can. He just. gosh.
Gee, Billy, I can't wait till I'm in high school.
You boys like 'em extra sloppy, don't you?
Hey, lady, stop it. You're scaring us. That was great, man. Oh, my God. Pee in your pants is the coolest.
If peeing your pants is cool, consider me Miles Davis.
Gross. Oh, my God.
Doyle rules. Dude, and that's Billy Madison.
That's all literally. There's so many just like great lines in those movies where you can always just if you want good lines, you pull them right out of Billy Madison or just Adam Sandler movies in general.
Yeah, honorable mentions. We got Big Daddy. We got Happy Gilmore. Man, I loved it. 50 First Dates was a good one. Growing up. Dude, there's classics. I loved what's it? The one where he plays the devil's kid. Little Nicky.
Yeah.
Little Nicky was great growing up. He looked like this because he got hit in the face with a shovel.
I mean, he's like this.
He's got like the skater kid grease over.
Right.
Dude,
my gosh.
Clowned. Yeah, that's classic, man. That's Billy Madison, dude. Classic. Dude. Back to school.
Yeah.
Back to school.
Oh, man.
To prove that I'm not a fool.
I got my lunch packed.
My boots tied.
I hope I don't get in a fight.
Oh, back to school. Oh man. Well.
Thanks, Daddy, for the ride.
Thanks for the ride. Oh man.
Okay.
Speaking of school and school days,
Okay.
all right. I want to take you guys back to a day, the summer in the school days when you just ran around with your friends. Maybe went to the pool, drowned on purpose to get a girl to kiss you.
Oh.
Maybe went to the local fair and chewed some chewing tobacco and got on a ride.
Hang on, this sounds familiar.
Maybe you also had a whole team of baseball-liking friends you played baseball with right by the fence with a big Goliath dog. Well, we're talking, of course, about the Sandlot.
Oh!
Yeah. How about that transition?
Sorry for the clap. Yeah.
Love the Sandlot, dude.
Sandlot's great.
Yeah.
I love the introduction of the main character into the group.
Oh, yeah, how he's just like...
Accepted.
How he's accepted, yeah, and how he's real nervous at first. Because, you know what, I really related with that kid. I was the real quiet kid growing up. The one that, you know, I wanted to be outside hanging with everybody else, but sometimes I was a little quiet and I didn't fit in right away because people didn't get a chance to know me. And, you know, it was cool to see how they got a chance to know him, and then he was part of the squad, and everybody kind of had their own little quirks, you know, and I love that
exactly.
shit.
And then right off the bat, like him kind of being, he's kind of a little dork, and he's got his long bill on his cap. And the first thing that one kid, or I forget who did it, but he grabs his cap. Oh, here, you can have this one. I got another one at home.
The older one, the cool kid that eventually became a pro at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forget all the names, mind you. I could look them up right now. How about we just do another? We haven't done the internet in a while.
Oh man, the web is strong.
Oops, the Sandlot.
Sandalot. The Beast. The Beast.
Oh yeah, so we had Patrick Reyna, who looks like exactly the same, older. He played.
No joke,
He played the Ham. You had Mike Vitar, who was the main kid.
Okay.
You had Scotty Smalls. Smalls was the main kid. Because they were you're killing me, Smalls. Remember?
Right. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Marty York, Alan Michael Squints. You had the kid who squints. You know, remember he had him.
Oh,
This is all them older.
He had the glasses.
Yeah.
Isn't that that's kind of like a Tourette's thing or something?
Yeah, the brothers. You had Wendy. Mary Shelton was Wendy. But yeah, man. So.
It's hard to recognize any of them.
Not anymore. None of them are really in anything nowadays. But Dennis.
But Patrick Reyna. is very recognizable.
But regardless of the actors, we're just looking for the kids' names. But
right.
Dude, yeah, it was great. I mean, yeah, how I got introduced to the group, how they played, and they ended up having other adventures. At first, when I was younger, I didn't realize right when I was first seeing the movie that it was set like in the 50s, or like not 50s. It was set in like the 70s or something, right?
It was something along those lines.
60s, 70s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was definitely a classic to where you saw some you saw some cars in there that I would say it was probably around 60s or 70s.
I think it was like, yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Because you saw some cars in there that are around 60, like mid to late 60s.
And I didn't know that when we first started, but then when I first saw the movie, after you watch it more and more, you realize like when they were going in town and they met the girl that Squints liked, and then they eventually went to the pool and how everybody dressed. It was like, oh yeah, this is totally like late 60s, early 70s. But it was cool to see an era like that.
It was definitely a good growing up story. Like you could relate to that story for sure. Like
yeah,
you know, I remember when I was a kid going to the pool and like seeing the lifeguard and being like, oh, she's pretty.
Exactly.
Like, oh crap.
Yeah. It was the one I was telling him before this. It was the one movie when I was growing up. There was a couple others. One of the very few movies with kids in it that was a quote unquote children's movie that really drew me in as a child, because I had an older brother who'd show me shit I shouldn't have watched, and I was into the adult comedies and dramas and shit when I was little, but if there was a comedy with a kid in it, it usually wasn't an adult comedy already. It just had a kid that would cuss or something, right? Like how Big Daddy had the kid in it, but it was an adult comedy. This was the first kid comedy that was like a legit, relatable, real kid comedy that I really liked. The other ones were like the Home Alone 1 and 2.
Oh, yeah.
I fucking love those. Honorable mentions, by the way.
Right. Oh, also kid comedies as far I just want to mention this just because the TV show Home Improvement.
Oh yeah.
It was a good kid comedy. Sorry.
Yeah, that was good too. Yeah, no.
That was off subject, but
yeah, man. So there it is, man. The Sandlot. It was great, dude. And I will cherish that movie forever.
I mean, it's a start to finish friendship sort of a creation of a large friendship that you get to see grow up. You get to see go through things together and really relate to a little boy growing up. You know, it's just the way it was. You wanted a group of friends.
Yeah.
You wanted to go play baseball. You wanted to go, you know, like that's the stuff that little boys just want to do. And it's exactly the story for a man to watch.
Yeah, I think it's cool, man. It's somewhat of an origin story. And I think
right.
I think this your last choice is
and I was about to get to that. Is just the way he was accepted in that movie. It just reminds me a lot of maybe the opposite of maybe somebody was accepted, you know, like 8 Mile.
Yeah, I feel you.
Like 8 Mile.
Yeah.
Like B-Rabbit.
B-Rabbit.
Like B-Rabbit, for real.
8 Mile, man. Tell me about it, bro.
I'll tell you what, that movie was cool because you got to see kind of the struggle in being accepted.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got somebody that is really shelled up and kind of like aggravated with the world, and he's found this release,
right,
where he's able to, where he doesn't want to rap, he doesn't really want to rap in front of other people except for his like real friends,
right,
like the people that he really trusts to hear what he's got.
Mm-hmm.
And once he gets on stage and he starts letting out who he is, and he feels the acceptance from it, it enrages him even more. It's adding fuel to his creative power.
Yep.
And he is dealing with life at the same time, and he's having this struggle between what he wants to do and what he has to do keeps pulling him back. And eventually, you know, the story of Marshall Mathers, whether it be 8 Mile or not, whether it be actual events or not actual events, that story is the way he was created, the way that Eminem was created in a nutshell.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're talking about, you know, one of the greatest lyricists, probably writers ever.
And he is like a dark little upbringing.
and you got to see that, and you can
Based
relate.
on,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody can relate to that. Everybody can relate to a struggle of you have life and you have achievement. Life sometimes pulls you back. There's a lot of things that you have to deal with sometimes, and then if you keep achieving, this starts not even worrying you anymore.
Right.
That the things that are trying to hold you back, they don't bother you anymore at all. So this movie was a type of movie that can show you that you can make it through hard situations.
Right.
You can come up from the mud and put yourself in a place where you can shine because that's where you want to be. That makes you ultimately happy. Like that
Right.
movie taught me that.
Yeah, and I wish I would have saw it sooner, but I still saw it when I was considered a kid. But when it was first coming out, I didn't see it right away because, and here's why. Look, I loved Eminem growing up because my brother, being older, 9 years older than me, he listened to hip hop, taking me to school and stuff, and it would be Eminem. I loved it. I thought it was so cool listening to that shit with him. But then when that movie came out, there's all these kids in my school that I didn't like. They were like the super bad kids,
Mm-hmm.
And, back then I was a little quiet, nice kid. I didn't want anything to do with the bad kids. But they all loved the movie. So it made me not want to see it because of that. But then I finally saw it with my brother. Because he's like, bro, let's watch this. And I was like, whoa, and then I finally watched it. And I was so glad I watched it. Because I already loved Eminem. And then I got to see his, like, quote-unquote origin story. Yeah, another movie I probably shouldn't have watched when I was that age. But my brother showed me all those kind of movies. Because he probably felt they had some kind of message even for me to reap from.
Mm-hmm.
And it definitely did. Without the fact that the actual movie gave me the message, without a doubt, I got the idea that, I can't let other people dictate what I think about a movie. And that's one thing I took out of it before I actually,
Right.
took what you were saying from
I
it.
can relate to that because when I was growing up, I felt the same way. When things were really like a fad, I was
Right.
always like kind of, no, like I don't want to go do that, or I don't want to go, I don't want to go see that because that's what everybody's talking about. That's what everybody's trying to do.
Right.
That's what like that's the big thing right now. And I'm
Right.
I'm the type of person where I like to stand back and observe,
Right.
and then go. I'll wait till they're done.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I mean, yeah, I feel you there, dude. It's regardless, it was a great movie, man.
Absolutely, and then you got to see the scenes of him like riding in the bus with his headphones on, and he's just got a piece of note paper and he's writing things like writing down lines.
Mm-hmm.
Man, after I saw that movie, I started doing that.
Right.
Like I started writing down lines that sounded cool.
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's just cause it showed you like, and then all the freestyles. It was so badass.
The battles.
Of course. And then of course you had all his friends. You had like Cheddar shooting himself, and you just had the funny shit.
Oh man.
Yeah, the other 8-Up moments. You had
Cheddar Bob.
Brittany Murphy was in there. Rest
Yep.
in peace.
Yep.
It was a good movie, man, and like I said, I'm glad I saw it after and I finally did. And as a kid, I think it was good, and it definitely it's cool, man. I like that you chose that for one of your defining movies.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you my favorite scene though, is when Eminem in that movie throws a freestyle at Exhibit.
Oh,
at the lunch truck.
Line? Yeah, I love that shit. Yeah, Exhibit
That's
was there.
my favorite scene
Yeah, that was fun. I love that, dude. That was really great.
because it was fun. It was playful.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
he didn't mean anything by it, but he was like, it was like an outburst of what he was thinking.
Mhm.
Like he was just like almost like the mask.
Yeah.
Almost like the mask. I mean,
Yeah.
where he puts on this mask and he starts rapping, and it's all of his ego coming out. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah, you're right.
Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's like, I said to get it off, man. There you go. Yeah, I like that. That was good, man.
maybe Eminem saw the mask and was like,
Yeah, right.
I'm gonna rap.
Mask off. Fuck it, mask off.
Right.
All right, guys. Well, before we get out of here, I'm going to go ahead and throw out my my final movie here. And it is an animated one. There's many animated movies I wanted to choose of. Yeah, we talked about Shrek. That was one I wanted to choose, but I had to get down to 5. Like I said, this shit was hard, dudes. There's another animated movie I thought of. I thought Pokemon would have been great because the first Pokemon movie, so many memories of it, how I got brought to the theater to watch it. how much it impacted me at the time. It was great, but it's not even Pokemon. You know what it is? You guys know what it is? It's a freaking Disney movie. It's Disney's Tarzan.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that movie, bro. As a kid, it made me tear up as a kid. It made me feel emotions I didn't know I had as a kid. Phil Collins as the main man of the soundtrack just blew my mind as a kid. Like, to actually really feel music like that and then go with the scenes and how you saw Tarzan growing up. And the animation was gorgeous in that movie, dude.
Yes. They
used well for the time.
They used a lot of extreme foreshadowing in that.
They did.
And the picture of him sliding on that vine.
Yeah, the vine sliding.
With his like toes are like curled around the vine. That's a cool picture, man. It was a very dynamic.
It was a cool
explosion of energy.
It was a cool concept for Tarzan, like making him like a cool like surfer dude. He surfed on the vines.
That's pretty much what he was. He was
instead of swinging and just swinging and being like a total monkey man, he was like a cool, like suave.
The vines didn't even look slimy. He just could surf on them because his feet were so thick and rough. And,
right. And he just got moving so quick that he could.
Yeah, they're hard as rocks. It's like they
just grind on them, dude. Yeah, and it's like, it was just so cool seeing that concept. It was funny. It had good story to it. Like I said, the music went super well with moments where it was super emotional, like when the gorillas found after his parents died, and the gorillas found, or no, his parents got killed by the cheetah or the leopard or whatever.
Yeah.
That whole scene, and then, later when he beat the leopard in the movie when he was an adult, and then when the humans come over, and he meets Jane, all that stuff, dude. It was totally the Disney way of telling that story.
Yeah.
But they did it fantastically.
Yeah, Tarzan's a cool character because he's, once again, he's a pure of heart sort of character.
Yeah, definitely.
And he doesn't know any better. But pure of heart, and he only gets angry when you're trying to hurt somebody, and he he comes alive. He's a Goku too.
He is, man, and I'm drawn to characters like that for sure. There's something about their innocence and their determinism, and just to like keep things chill and cool, and everybody's on the same page. And if you try to hurt my friends, then you're gonna get smashed. And I like that concept in life. That's kind of how I think. It's we can all just be cool and chill and hang out and have good vibes and be friendly to each other. But as soon as somebody wants to try to start hurting somebody for no reason, that's when it's like, all right, dude. But yeah, that movie, that's one of those movies I watched countless times as a kid. For many other reasons, from the music only. In certain instances, I just wanted to hear that final song of the last scene. To just see in a particular scene, I just loved it. In terms of animated movies, there were many that definitely changed the game for me as a kid, but that one really, I think it opened up. As corny as it sounds, it opened up an emotional chamber that had not been opened up to that point in my life yet. That movie did it.
Yeah, those movies were definitely. Disney always brings it hard.
Yeah, dude.
Disney always brings it hard to the point where they're like, even that new, the new Beauty and the Beast that came out a few years ago. That thing was awesome. They did that perfect.
Yeah.
Disney brings it hard, and Tarzan was one of the hardest they brought it.
They did.
He was just like dynamic.
They spent a lot on it. I think they had a pretty big
dynamic budget and athletic and could do things that you didn't see Tarzan do before. And when he would get down on all fours and snarl and stuff, like that was an aggressive character coming out of something. It was a very dynamic character to where it could be aggressive, it could be happy, it could be confused, it can be like, it was a real character from, and had a lot of different attributes to that character.
99. I'm trying to see what the budget, because I know it was a big budget for an animated movie. Yeah, $130 million budget.
Wow.
For at the time, that's a lot, and it ended up getting $448 million in box office.
Wow.
So at the time, that was a lot. But yeah, they put a lot into making this movie, man. I I said.
What was the live action Tarzan movie with
Brandon Fraser?
with Brendan Fraser? That was a good one. It was silly, but the thing is, it was definitely a movie that I watched multiple times. Brendan Fraser was a good actor.
Honorable mentions. The Mummy was another movie that I loved growing up.
There you go.
I love that shit. All of the Mummy series with Brendan Fraser, they were a lot of fun. They were a blast. Another one that was a blast, it was like an action comedy, was the Rush Hour films. Rush Hour 1 and 2 were great. I love those, dude.
Ooh.
Jackie Chan movies growing up were awesome. I loved them.
All of them.
Really, really got close to making the list as well. Rush Hour did, but it didn't. But you know that that was another thing that defined me a little bit there.
Rush Hour was definitely a big part of growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's kind of like if you step back in the time ladder to those sort of movies. My dad used to watch Lethal Weapon.
Oh yeah, it's like that
every
kind of
single Lethal Weapon.
Yes, it's totally like an action. It's an action comedy. That's
right.
Great. Yeah, duo action comedy movie, dude. Those are always fun, man.
Another one that I wanted to put in the honorable mention is Jurassic Park.
Oh yeah, the Jurassic Park, dude. The original one for sure.
The original one for sure, because man, that raptor scene in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, dude.
The scene when you're first introduced to the raptors, where they're lowering the cow down into the cage and that thing's like rattling the cage and freaking out.
What about when they have the T-Rex in the car? The car scene with the T-Rex, dude. When it's raining hard. Dude, that was... Oh, my God.
That giant footprint you see in the mud.
How about the little fucking dinosaur that its neck flares up and it spits acid in Newman's face?
That thing was wicked. Like, and it was angry,
Seinfeld.
like angry.
Dude, yeah. Jurassic Park for sure, dude. That's one
I mean,
of those.
even the sequels were good.
I
on
agree.
Jurassic
I
Park.
thought they were good too. I loved them, man. Dude, I mean, look, there's so many good movies growing up that we enjoyed. I mean, shit. I'll even say another one that totally I saw it enough that impacted me, but it wasn't on the list. I don't know if it would maybe make my list, but it's close. Titanic.
Ooh.
That shit was big when we were growing up. Dude.
Yeah.
That was a big and impactful movie. But
never let go, check. Never let go.
We can go on and on, but we wanted to give you guys, of course, our top 5 movies that defined our childhood each. And it was a hard list to make, but we did it for you guys. I hope you enjoyed. And let us know what you think is your top 5 films that define your childhood.
Yeah, maybe let us know the movies that you thought of while we were talking about these lists, and just hit them in the comments, man. That'll refresh my memory. I know that my memory can be refreshed about a lot of movies.
I'm sure there's definitely. I'm thinking of some right now, like all the Nutty Professor movies.
Oh. And
the Dr. Dolittle movies. I mean, come on. I can just rattle them off. Oh, God. I got to watch, like, The Clumps now. Fuck.
Oh, that would be a great one to watch.
Yeah, man. Or, like, Big Mama's House. Remember those movies? Dude.
Oh.
Come on now. Okay. Do we have the part 2 of this? Either way, guys, thank you for joining us here on the PanNerdia Podcast number 8.
Thanks, guys.
We enjoyed, and I hope you enjoyed too. We'll see you guys next week for number 9. And guys, have a good night.
Peace.